There is a practice, a single, profound instruction, whispered from the heart of all true spiritual teaching, that carries within it the power to shatter every chain that binds you. It is a key so simple, so readily overlooked, that to even glance upon its surface is to begin a transformation that will leave no corner of your life untouched. We have come here tonight to entertain a sacred idea, to let it unfold within us, not as a theory, but as a living reality. We are not here to learn a new rule, but to unlearn an ancient, burdensome habit that has clouded our vision since time began. The world, with its ceaseless noise, teaches you to weigh, to measure, to categorize. It instructs you from the cradle to separate the good from the bad, the right from the wrong, the desirable from that which you would shun. And in doing so, you have unknowingly erected a wall between yourself and the infinite flow of grace. This wall is built of your judgments. Every time you look upon another and find them wanting, you are not defining them, you are defining your own consciousness. And in that moment, you are contracting it. Every time you condemn a condition, a circumstance, or an appearance, you are affirming its power and its reality. And in that act, you are bowing down to a God of form and limitation. You are, in effect, closing the door on the very presence that seeks to express itself as your freedom, your harmony, your peace. But what if you were to stop? What if you were to consciously, deliberately, relentlessly suspend this entire world of human judgment? What would remain? When you cease labeling the universe itself begins to reveal its true nature to you. When you withdraw the energy you have invested in judging appearances, that very energy returns to you as a capacity to perceive the invisible, the spiritual, the real. This is not a passive state. It is the most dynamic activity of a consciousness awakening to its own divine nature. It is the practice of judge not, and it is the very path to your liberation. Now, I am going to ask something of you. If this message has stirred something within you, if you feel the call to go deeper into this work, then let that stirring be made manifest. Let your engagement with this truth become a sacred act. Let your subscription to this channel be a tangible sign, an outer symbol of your inner commitment to walk this path of conscious embodiment. And further, to seal this intention in the silence, I invite you to go into the comments and leave the number 717. Do not see this as a mere number, but as a silent password among travelers on the path, a symbol that you are choosing to release the judge and embrace the love that you eternally are. Let this be your act of confirmation, not to me, but to the spirit of truth within you. Imagine for a moment that every judgment you have ever uttered, every criticism, every silent condemnation, every moment you have deemed something as wrong or unacceptable, was not merely a comment on the world outside of you, but was, in fact, a brick, a dense, heavy brick that you were personally placing one by one into a formidable wall. This is not a metaphorical wall in some abstract spiritual sense. This is a living, energetic barrier that you are constructing in your own consciousness a wall that effectively separates you from the infinite flow, the palpable presence, and the harmonious activity of your own divine source. We speak so often of seeking God, of longing for a connection with the divine, for peace that surpasses understanding, all the while unaware that we are the architects of our own separation. The very activity we engage in countless times a day, the mental commentary, the assessments, the labels of good and bad, is the very labor that builds this wall higher and thicker. Think of the last time you were stuck in traffic, and a surge of frustration arose as you judged the other drivers, the city planners, the situation itself as an intolerable delay. In that moment, what did you feel? A contraction, a tightening, a sense of being at odds with the universe. That feeling of conflict, of friction, is the feeling of the wall. It is the direct experience of being cut off from the peace that is your native state. You were not separate from God because there was traffic. You became aware of your separation because your judgment activated the wall you had built. This wall is so insidious because it is constructed from the inside out. It is made of the substance of your own thoughts. When you look at a colleague and silently critique their method, you are not changing them. You are adding a brick to your own structure of limitation. When you watch the news and condemn a political figure, feeling a sense of self, righteous anger, you are not altering the political landscape. You are fortifying the barrier between your awareness and the kingdom of harmony within. Every judgment, no matter how small or seemingly justified, is another layer of mortar, another declaration to the universe that you believe in the power of the appearance more than you believe in the power of the invisible, animating spirit. Let us bring this even closer to home. Consider a simple misunderstanding with a loved one. They say something, and you immediately interpret it through a filter of past hurts and expectations. You judge their tone as harsh, their words as insensitive. In that instant of judgment, what happens? The space between you becomes charged with separation. Communication breaks down. Love feels distant. Now, imagine that same moment, but this time you catch the judgment as it arises. You consciously choose, as a spiritual practice, to suspend it. You do not condone the words, you simply refuse to be the judge of them. You step back from the mental tribunal. In that sacred pause, when the judge is silent, what can occur? Perhaps a space opens up for clarity. Perhaps you hear the fear or the pain behind their words. Perhaps you simply remain centered in a love that is not contingent on another's behavior. In that space, the wall does not just stop growing. A brick dissolves. You have chosen connection over separation. This is the profound and terrifying truth. Your freedom is waiting on the other side of that wall, and you alone hold the trowel. The divine presence is not withholding itself from you. It is an ever-present, ever-available ocean of grace. But you, through the relentless activity of judgment, have built a levee around your own being. You sit in the middle of this vast ocean in a self-made cup of limitation, wondering why you only experience a few drops of spirit, all the while complaining of your thirst. The world teaches you to better your judgments, to make them more refined, more accurate. But the spiritual path reveals the ultimate truth. You must lay down the trowel altogether. You must cease the building project. This is not a call to apathy or a passive acceptance of evil. It is a call to the most profound activity of spiritual empowerment, the relinquishment of a false power for a real one. When you judge, you are attempting to exert a power you do not have. The power to correctly define a universe that is in constant, infinite motion. When you release judgment, you are not becoming powerless. You are surrendering a phantom authority to tap into a real one. You are stepping out of the role of the judge and into the role of the witness, the beholder, the very child of God, through whom the divine intelligence flows to harmonize, adjust, correct, and bless. The traffic jam may not vanish, but your internal war with it will, and in that peace you may find a surprising solution or a profound lesson in patience. The relationship conflict may not resolve in the way your ego wanted, but it will unfold in a harmony that your soul recognizes. The wall of separation crumbles not with a spectacular explosion, but with the quiet, consistent, daily practice of noticing the judge and gently, firmly showing it the door. Consider the sheer weight of that realization for a moment. You have been building a wall brick by brick, and every brick represents a moment of judgment directed outward. But here we come to the great spiritual secret, the shocking reversal that can stop this construction project in its tracks. Every single judgment you have ever cast upon another person, every critical thought about a situation, every label of good or bad you have placed upon an event, is not truly about the world outside your window. It is, in a cosmic and inescapable sense, a judgment you are leveling against yourself. Every time you point a finger, the energy of that condemnation does not travel out and land upon its target. It reverberates inward, defining, confining, and limiting the very consciousness from which it sprang. This is not a theory. This is a spiritual law as immutable as the law of gravity. Your consciousness is the lens through which you perceive all of life. It is the filter, the projector, the very screen upon which the movie of your experience is played. When you look at another and find them lacking, perhaps you see a neighbor and silently criticize their lifestyle, or you observe a public figure and deem them incompetent. You are not altering their being. You are, however, actively programming the lens of your own perception. You are telling your own consciousness, this is what lack looks like. This is what incompetence is. You are etching these definitions into your own awareness. And then, mysteriously, you begin to encounter lack in your own affairs. You find yourself in situations where you feel incompetent. The world, which is but a mirror, has no choice but to reflect back to you the very qualities you have so firmly defined and judged in others. Let us take a very practical, everyday example. You are at work, and a colleague presents an idea in a meeting. Internally, you dismiss it as foolish uncreative, or naive. You judge the person as not being very bright. In that moment, feel the subtle contraction within you. That contraction is the act of self-definition. You have just informed your own mind that foolishness and a lack of creativity are real, potent forces in your universe. You have, in essence, invited that very energy to take up residence in your own experience. Soon after, when you are working on your own project, you may find yourself blocked, unable to access a fresh idea, stumbling over your own presentation. You will likely blame stress or circumstances, never connecting it to the silent, invisible judgment you cast an hour before, which shrunk your own creative capacity. This principle becomes even more piercing when we consider our judgments of those closest to us. When you resent your partner for being emotionally distant, and you sit in judgment of that quality, what are you doing? You are focusing your powerful I am-ness on the very concept of emotional distance. You are giving it life and substance in your world. And so, even as you crave connection, you may find yourself building your own walls, becoming the very thing you judged, or attracting further evidence of distance into the relationship. The judgment did not change your partner, it changed you. It reinforced the reality of separation within your own soul, and your outer world had no option but to conform. This is the hidden, self-inflicted tyranny of judgment. We believe we are engaging in a kind of mental housekeeping, sorting the world into orderly categories. In truth, we are performing a kind of slow psychic suicide, defining ourselves into a prison of our own making. The person you judge for their anger, you are, in that moment, becoming a vessel for anger to inhabit. The political faction you condemn for its ignorance, you are solidifying the reality of ignorance in your own mind, ensuring you will encounter it everywhere you look. You are not a passive observer of a fixed world. You are an active participant, using the tool of judgment to carve the contours of your own inner world, which then becomes the blueprint for your outer experience. To judge another is to whisper a limiting command to the very core of your own being. It is to paint a dark stripe across the lens through which you see, and then to wonder why your world has grown so dim. And so we see that this wall of separation is built from the inside, brick by brick, with each judgment cementing a limitation within our own consciousness. But now we must confront the very nature of the material from which these bricks are formed. We have been taught to trust our eyes, to believe in the solid reality of the world we perceive. We look upon a situation of lack, a body of sickness, a relationship in conflict, and we accept its verdict as final. We bow down to its authority. This is the great seduction of the world of form, and it is this hypnotic belief in the solidity of appearance that grants judgment its illusory power. To judge by these appearances is to be utterly enslaved by them, to chain your own freedom to the ever-shifting, often troubling, panorama of effects. When you stand before a closed door, your eyes report a solid, immovable object. Your entire being accepts this as truth. You do not push against it. You accept its limitation and turn away. This is precisely how we live our lives in the world of form. We see a closed door in our health, our finances, or our relationships, and we accept its finality. We judge the situation as impossible, the condition as incurable, the person as unchangeable. In that act of judgment, we are not merely observing a fact, we are kneeling before it. We are affirming that this appearance, this temporary formation, has more power, more reality than the infinite, formless spirit that brought it into being and can just as easily transform it. You are, in that moment, a slave to a shadow, bowing to effect while ignoring the cause. Consider a financial limitation. The appearance is an empty bank account, looming bills, a sense of scarcity. The world and the unawakened mind within us immediately judges this appearance as bad, frightening, real. This judgment then triggers a cascade of fear-based actions, hoarding, grasping, anxiety. The entire consciousness contracts around the appearance of lack, and in doing so, it becomes a magnet for more of the same. You have become a servant to the form of emptiness. But what is the reality behind this appearance? It is the infinite, ever-present substance of the divine, the same substance that forms galaxies and clothes the lilies of the field. To judge by the appearance is to be hypnotized by the empty wallet and blind to the overflowing kingdom. It is to chain yourself to the effect and deny the cause. Let us take the appearance of a broken body. The diagnosis is given, the pain is felt, the medical reports are clear. The world of form shouts its verdict sick, limited, failing, and the mind, trained to judge, agrees. It accepts the sentence. It then lives out from that judgment, moving through life as a sick person, seeing itself as separate from wholeness, reinforcing the very condition it fears. This is the deepest form of slavery. When your own consciousness agrees to wear the chains presented to it. But what is the reality behind the appearance of the body? It is a temporal, finite expression of a life that is eternal, a perfect spiritual idea animated by a breath that is not its own. To judge by the appearance of sickness is to worship the shadow on the wall and deny the light that casts it. It is to be enslaved by the temporary form and cut off from the formless healer. This slavery manifests in the subtlest ways. You have a difficult conversation ahead, and based on past form, the memory of previous conflicts, you judge it as destined to be painful. You then enter the conversation armored for battle, and sure enough, it becomes painful. You have been enslaved by the ghost of a past form. You see a stranger with a stern face, and you judge them as unfriendly. You then avoid interaction, and your world becomes a little colder. You have been enslaved by the fleeting arrangement of their facial features. In every case, you have granted a temporary outer form the authority to dictate your inner state and direct your actions. You have become a prisoner of perception, a servant to scenery that was never meant to be permanent. The world of form is a river, always flowing, always changing. To judge it, to nail it down with your labels, is to try to build a house upon the water. you will forever be struggling, forever sinking, forever a slave to the current, because you have mistaken the river's momentary shape for solid ground. The practice of judge not is the profound and liberating act of withdrawing your allegiance from the ever-changing river and placing it upon the unmoving, formless bank of the eternal from which it flows. To recognize this slavery to appearance is to feel a deep, stirring call for liberation. It is to sense that there must be a way to withdraw from this futile struggle, to release the burden of being the constant arbiter of a universe we cannot possibly understand in its entirety. This is where we come to the very heart of the matter, to the active, dynamic, and profoundly empowering practice that is the relinquishment of this false power. Many hear the instruction, judge not, and mistake it for a passive state, a kind of spiritual apathy where one simply ignores the world. Nothing could be further from the truth. To consciously refrain from judgment is not a passive act. It is the most intensely active state of spiritual warfare. It is the deliberate, willful surrender of a phantom authority, the ego's desperate claim to right of assessment, in order to lay hold of a genuine, divine power. Think of it as a trade. You are being asked to lay down a toy sword with which you have been frantically dueling with shadows in order to receive your hand upon the hilt of Excalibur. The toy sword is the mind's ability to label, to criticize, to separate and categorize. It feels powerful because it gives you the illusion of control, the sense that you are making sense of a chaotic world. But its power is an illusion. It changes nothing in the outer world and only contracts your own inner world. The act of setting it down feels, to the ego, like surrender, like defeat. But in that very release, your hands are emptied to receive the true weapon, the power of the Christ, the activity of the Spirit, the invisible force of grace that can actually transform situations, heal bodies, and mend relationships from the inside out. Let this become practical, tangible in your daily walk. You are faced with a problem at work. A project is failing. A collaboration is breaking down. The automatic human reaction is to judge. To judge the incompetent colleague, the unclear guidelines, the lack of resources. Each judgment feels like a valid analysis, a step toward a solution. But it is not. It is merely the clashing of your toy sword against the shadows of the problem, amplifying the noise and the friction. Now, instead, you make a conscious choice. You actively relinquish the right to judge. You step back, not in resignation, but in a profound inner silence. You declare within the quiet of your own being, I refuse to label this situation. I withdraw my mental commentary. I do not know what this is, but I know that God is. This is not doing nothing. This is the most potent thing you can do. You have ceased the futile battle and opened a channel. You have stepped aside as the would be savior and made room for the actual savior. And in that open space, an intelligence greater than your own can begin to operate. A new idea may flash into your mind. An unexpected conversation may provide the key. The entire energy of the situation may shift in a way your judgments could never have engineered. Or consider a pain in your body. The instinct is to judge it, to fear it, to name it and fight against it. This fighting is the toy sword at work, and it only creates tension upon tension. The active practice of judge not here is to consciously release the label, the fear, the mental narrative of illness. You bring your attention to the sensation without the layer of judgment, without the story of what it means. You simply behold it as you would a cloud in the sky without condemning it or claiming it as your own. In that state of non-resistant awareness, you are not affirming the pain, you are simply ceasing to empower it with your judgment. You have laid down the toy sword of your fearful thoughts, and into that quiet, surrendered space, the true healing power, the same power that formed the body from a single cell, can begin to flow without the obstruction of your mental interference. This is not passive acceptance of sickness. It is the active invocation of wholeness by getting your own fearful judgments out of the way. This is the great secret. Your judgments are the static that drowns out the signal of the divine. The practice of judge not is the deliberate turning of the dial to clear the channel. It feels, in the moment, like you are giving up control, and indeed you are. You are giving up the ego's brittle, illusory control. But what you receive in exchange is the effortless governance of a universe that is inherently harmonious. Once you stop shouting your contradictory judgments over its perfect melody, you are not becoming powerless. You are surrendering a finite power for an infinite one. You are ceasing to be a lonely soldier fighting 1,000 separate battles, and you are taking your place as a conscious conductor of a symphony that was already playing perfectly without you, if only you would lay down your noisy drum and listen. And so we find ourselves at the threshold of a great and holy silence. We have laid down the toy sword of judgment. We have ceased our frantic mental commentary, our desperate need to label and define the universe. We stand in a state of conscious surrender, having relinquished a false power. But what happens in this sacred pause? What fills the space when the clamor of the judge has finally been stilled? It is not a vacuum, an empty void where nothing occurs. On the contrary, it is in this profound and fertile quiet that reality itself begins to stir and reveal its true nature to you. When you are no longer projecting your own definitions onto the world, in its divine essence, can finally introduce itself. This is the great promise, the thrilling culmination of this entire practice. You are not striving to build a better reality through your own efforts. You are not trying to paste spiritual concepts over a world you fundamentally believe to be material and flawed. You are practicing a conscious withdrawal from interference so that the spiritual, the real, the permanent can announce its presence spontaneously. It is like cleaning a dusty window. You do not create the sunlight, you simply remove the grime that was blocking it, and the light, which was always there, floods the room of its own accord. The stillness without judgment is the act of cleaning the window, of your consciousness. Imagine you are looking at a tree. Normally, your mind is busy judging it. It is beautiful. That branch is dying. It provides good shade. These are all judgments. Layers of thought you place between yourself and the tree. Now practice, judge not. Simply look. Withhold the labels. Be silent before it. At first, it may seem like you are just looking at a tree without thinking. But if you persist in this silent beholding, a shift occurs. The concept, tree, may begin to fall away, and what remains is a breathtaking, living expression of life itself, a pulsating, intelligent manifestation of the one life, unique and glorious. You are no longer seeing a categorized object. You are witnessing a divine idea in form. This is reality revealing itself. It was always there, but your judgments were the dust on the lens. Now, translate this to a human relationship. You have a history with someone, a tapestry woven with threads of past hurts and judgments. Every time you see them, the old labels flash in your mind: unreliable, critical, distant. These judgments form a dense filter, and you never truly see of them. You see only the accumulation of your own past thoughts about them. Now, you enter a room with them, and you consciously practice this stillness. You refuse to activate the old judgments. You look upon them without the mental noise of your history. In that clear, silent space, something miraculous can happen. You might glimpse, perhaps for only a second, the innocent, spiritual being behind the human personality. You might see a flicker of pain in their eyes you never noticed before, or a quiet strength. The relationship has not changed through discussion or effort. It has been transformed because your perception of it was clarified. Reality. The truth of that individual as a child of God. Shown through the moment you stop judging the appearance. This is the secret to answered prayer. So often we pray from a place of judgment. We see a problem, a sickness, a financial need, and we pray against what we have already judged to be a real and powerful evil. Our prayer is then a battle, a conflict between our desire and the reality we perceive. But when we approach prayer from the stillness of judge not, we come into it with a clean consciousness. We still the voice that names the disease, that fears the debt. We enter the silence not to petition a distant God, but to behold the spiritual reality where harmony, wholeness, and abundance are the only facts. We wait, we listen, and in that listening, a new thought may dawn, a feeling of peace, an intuitive knowing of what to do, a sudden, unexpected insight. This is not you figuring out the answer. This is reality, the divine consciousness, revealing the harmony of the situation to your now receptive mind. The healing, the solution, is not manufactured, it is revealed. It was always present, hidden behind the obscuring cloud of your judgments about the problem. The world rushes in with its noise, its opinions, its ceaseless judgments, and it calls this being engaged with reality. But it is a phantom reality, a world of shadows. The true reality is quiet, potent, and ever-present. It does not shout, it whispers. It cannot be heard over the din of your own mental commentary. But when you through this profound practice, become still when you suspend the judge and simply behold, the whispers become a clear voice and the shadows give way to the substance. You are not creating peace, you are discovering it. You are not building a new world. You are allowing the eternal, spiritual universe, which was here all along, to step out from behind the curtain of your own misconceptions. And so we arrive at the culmination, the glorious and natural outcome of this entire journey inward. This practice of releasing judgment, of stilling the mental noise and beholding in silence, is not an end in itself. It is not a spiritual exercise to be performed in a secluded corner of your life, separate from the world. It is, in its ultimate expression, the very path itself. It is the disciplined moment by moment training that prepares your consciousness for its highest function, to become a clear, unblemished witness to the divine unfolding in all creation. This is the final emancipation, to move through this world of form not as its critic, nor its slave, but as its liberated beholder, watching with awe and wonder as the infinite intelligence clothes itself in the finite, moment by moment. You are not here to fix a broken world. You are here to recognize the Christ, the Buddha nature, the perfect spiritual idea, shimmering within the temporary form. When you have ceased your judgments, your consciousness becomes like a still, clear lake, perfectly reflecting the sky above. Every tree, every person, every event that passes by its shore is seen reflected in that sky, embraced by it, one with it. You no longer see a sick body, you see the radiant, immortal idea of life momentarily obscured. You no longer see a person consumed by anger, you see the fearful, unawakened child of God whose true nature is peace. You no longer see a failure, you see a soul learning to walk, a necessary step in its unfoldment. This is not a naive refusal to see suffering. It is the profound ability to see through it to the indestructible truth that lies beneath. Let this become your new vision.